Yeah, because most people don't know anybody that's happened to, but we know 2 people.
Yeah, 2.
Which is strange.
Very strange. If I had a nickel.
If I had a nickel for every time I thought something was strange. You know, I was kind of called out on something during a stream. I'm streaming a survival game with Alistair, my brother. We're playing a game called Stranded Deep, which is pretty fun. It's terrible, and it's not ported to the console well at all.
It's fun to watch you guys attack crabs and be attacked by crabs.
Yeah, the game is really a yin and yang, a symbiosis of attacking and being attacked by many crabs. But the game notwithstanding, I mentioned that, you know, we love Tubi. And that if you want to find something, find it on Tubi. And I've just gotten into the habit of talking about Tubi in my day-to-day. But then my sister, our fact checker, over this holiday weekend was like, so did you have you guys like reached out to them at all? Have you like, you know, you always say that you're working for a sponsorship. So what have you done to get that sponsorship? And it's like I had to be self-effacing and be like, oh, we've done no work.
Yeah.
We don't know. So I feel like I want to.
You mean the people from Tubi aren't listening to these episodes right now?
Well, so because I don't have any social media, you will be the people. You are the voice of the Third Channel podcast to the public. I'm the voice of the Third Channel podcast in private.
Oh my God. Where did these lights come from?
And the glass heart-shaped mirror above the waterbed. Tiffany throws the bottle. It shatters. We are ended swiftly. It's gotten me wondering, because you and I have always talked about it's a bit that we're going to do where we're going to try to pitch a sponsorship to this streaming service because we love it so much. I don't know that that's true. I don't know how much we actually, if you really break it down, how much we love Tubi. But the point is, we might like at this point, you know, we've got people listening. We keep getting really cool like numbers of like we are number X of this genre of podcast for the month. And it's like
Good Pods is an app that that I don't know, they have different rankings and things and they break us down. And we're typically in the upper teens of, you know, 100 of like horror or movie or, you know, whatever of that week or that month.
Or sexy men voices.
Yeah, definitely that one.
Yeah. By the way, the somebody said that I liked the cartoon of you on your podcast. I was like, that's a picture of me. That's what I look like. That's what we look like, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here's, I guess here's what I figured I would bring up to you in this moment. We need to, as far as Tubi is concerned, we need to piss or get off the pot. Yeah. Because that sweet Tubi money is slipping through our fingers. Do you have any idea how much money they make charging no one to use their service? Their excellent and wide range service where they charge no upfront fees or monthly subscription fees. Do you have any idea how much money they have? I don't know how they make money.
No, I don't.
Hello and welcome to the TCP20.
Oh, God.
I know. Welcome to the Third Channel podcast,
where we delve into the horror franchises you love from the perspectives of a lifelong horror fan.
And a newbie to the genre. I'm PJ.
And I'm Derek.
And today, the only thing we're here to talk about, like every time you tune back in, is horror. I was trying to think, and obviously I was trying to think of a way to do H20. And let me tell you, I fucked that up. I did not do that well.
No, but you know, I actually enjoy that you did that right off the bat because it is probably the thing I liked least about this movie is its naming convention.
Yeah.
it is just like a mouthful because technically the title of this movie is Halloween H20 : 20 years later. This is the full title. Now we all call it H2O.
Do we call it H2? Do we call it?
I guess it's H20.
Yeah, because it's a 0.
Yeah.
It is in no way about water.
No.
Nor the shape of it.
No.
Guillermo del Toro or Doug Jones and his fishy, weird body had nothing to do with this.
No, but H2O does have a pH level of 7. And this is Halloween 7, technically.
Oh my God, dude, that can't be. We're spinning too many plates. I'm like, did they mean that? Is that on purpose?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, the Halloween naming convention for most of these pissed me off. It's not that they're not all numeric. It'd be we had this problem. We had this discussion with Evil Dead because it's the worst of every option because it's the Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, then Army of Darkness. And it's like, there's no cohesion.
No.
But they're good. All of them.
Yes,
so
in their own ways.
So that's where we have a bit more of a departure. The good news, though, is that you and I both actually like this one quite a bit.
I do. I really like this movie.
Yeah. It's charming. It's very like time capsule-y. It's very much of its time.
Oh yeah.
But it is not obnoxious, which a lot of these are, especially in this one, in this franchise.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of things in this one, and like the problem with the conversation that I think we're gonna have is I'm gonna try and keep this so much related to, Halloween H20, H2O, whatever we want to call it. And the movies and the films that came before it, and not referencing too much into Halloween 2018.
Which
because
will be hard.
2018 is referencing this, not the other way around.
Okay.
And so,
yeah, that's fair. It's like how Halloween Kills seems to reference 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's those little things where like we will get to those conversations and be able to reference back to this, but going forward, it's like, well, no, those things didn't exist, so we can't take those things into consideration.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's like this is kind of the stepping stone to what we all call H40.
Right.
So,
which I did not realize, speaking of H40, and if we haven't said this before, we are not doing the Danny McBride, David Gordon Green stuff immediately following. We're not doing them in order.
We're going to take a bit of a break.
Like they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll eventually get to them.
Yeah, it was sometime.
About the time that it feels like we should be doing the Halloween movies.
Like if you were reading the name of the movie and thought, there's a day I think that name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about probably when.
Yeah. The closest we've gotten right now is, I think, in our release schedule, we just kind of crossed the threshold of halfway to Halloween of the year, which typically falls in like May to June, depending on who you ask.
Yeah. I think there is a scientific, like, numeric proof. I don't know that it's, I don't know how subjective that is.
Well, maybe it's like the Halloween franchise and you can take, do you like the Curse of Thorn trilogy or do you like this, timeline here?
Can I tell you the truth? I don't like any of it. I was talking to somebody today and I was explaining to them what we're doing with the show right now and that we are in the middle of one of the most famous and infamous horror franchises of all time. And he was like, well, what's your takeaway for all of the movies in this series? And I was like, if it's not the first one, it's really not that great. Like that first one, let me tell you, that first one is really good.
Ricky Bobby might have been right. If you're not first, you're last.
Letterboxd summary reads, oh my God, you're fucking right. Halloween H20, 20 years later. This summer, oh, you know what? This is one of those with a read more. Oh, this is long. Here we go. Buckle in, folks. This summer, terror won't be taking a vacation. 2 decades after surviving a massacre on October 31st, 1978, former babysitter Laurie Strode finds herself hunted by persistent knife wielder Michael Myers. Do you remember in one of the other ones, they called her stubborn?
Yeah.
It's like Laurie's a stubborn victim. I don't think I would call Michael a persistent knife wielder.
Well, what have you ever seen him do other than that?
A firepoker. Oh, no. That's what people use against him.
Yeah.
Laurie now lives in Northern California under an assumed name where she works as the headmistress of a private school. But it's not far enough to escape Myers, who soon discovers her whereabouts. A Halloween descends upon Laurie's peaceful community. A feeling of dread weighs upon her with good reason. That is the summary.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
Little wordy, just like that title. Halloween H20, 20 years later.
Let's just say H2O.
Yeah, I'm saying H2O.
From now on, yeah.
But I would never say H40.
No.
Released, it had its LA premiere July 27th of 1998 and its US theatrical release in August of 1998. So this is the first movie of the franchise that I think has been released kind of in like the summer. It hasn't been released like on or around Halloween itself.
This feels like a summary kind of, yeah, that's what this feels like.
Even though, I mean, it does. It takes place over the course of like the 29th, barely the 30th, and then the 31st.
Yeah.
It is directed by Steve Miner. I will go into some stuff that he directs, but this won't be the last time we talk about Steve Miner.
Okay.
Written by Robert Zappia and Matt Greenberg. Those are the ones who get the actual writing credits. But we will go into a whole lot of stuff with Kevin Williamson doing rewrites. And it's produced, again, by Paul Freeman. The cinematographer for this is Darren Okada. He was the cinematographer for Phantasm 2 in 88. Honestly, he hasn't done a lot of horror stuff. He was the cinematographer for Black Sheep, which is the 96 Chris Farley comedy.
Oh, okay.
He worked on Lake Placid in 99, Dr. Dolittle 2 in 01, Mean Girls in 04, and he was the cinematographer for Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay. And then the editor is Patrick Lucier. He seems to be someone who worked, I mean, very closely with Wes Craven, because he was the editor on Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Vampire in Brooklyn, Screams 1, 2, and 3, Music of the Heart, Cursed, and Red Eye, which are all Wes Craven films. And then he's directed a couple things, but the main thing here is he directed My Bloody Valentine 3D.
Oh, shit. So Mr. Jensen Ackles.
And Tom Atkins is in that one, right? That was the sheriff. Oh, God, I shouldn't have mentioned that.
I busted.
Yeah. The budget for this film, would you believe that it went up or down?
I would believe. Oh,
The previous movie was made for $5 million.
I don't know. It feels like a trick question. So it leads me to think down.
No, it went quite a bit up.
You son of a bitch. Yeah. Then why do that?
I don't know.
You fucking threw a wrench in everything.
I like to throw you off.
$25 million for the budget.
Well, not that high.
Okay.
$17 million.
$15 million.
You were, 17.
I was just going to go in increments of 5 until eventually I was close.
Which is good because it made a lot more money than the last one as well. The box office for 6 was just over $15 million. This one made
$60 million.
$75 million.
Damn, I should have said 75. Fuck.
Until the release of Halloween 2018, it was the highest grossing film in the franchise, and it's still the third most attended film in the franchise. It's actually sold more tickets than the previous 3 movies combined.
That makes sense.
So, it's still made and distributed by Dimension Films. Director Steve Miner, he also did Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3. He did the horror film House in 85, Warlock in 89. He directs Lake Placid after this in 99. And then the god-awful, I guess they call it a remake, Day of the Dead in 2008. I watched it last year during October. Man, it's terrible. The story and screenplay are by Robert Zappia. He wrote and directed Christmas is Here Again, which is an 2007 animated Christmas film where Andy Griffith is the voice of Santa Claus.
Okay.
And then he wrote Chop Kick Panda, Puss in Boots, A Furry Tale, and Tappy Toes. And those are all from 2011.
So they're all just ripoffs.
Yes.
What's the Puss in Boots ripoff?
Puss in Boots, A Furry Tale.
How can they use that?
Puss in Boots is, I mean, as a story, is public domain, yeah. And then he also wrote Tom and Jerry, Santa's Little Helpers, which was in 2014, where Mark Hamill is the voice of Santa Claus.
What the fuck?
And then finally in 2022, He did an exorcism movie called Pray for the Devil. So, but the majority of his stuff that he's written is like
cheap, shitty knockoffs.
Yes.
So, I wonder how many of those cheap, shitty knockoffs are on Tubi.
Oh man, probably all of them. I should have checked. Not that they're shitty because they're on Tubi. They're shitty and on Tubi.
No, them being on Tubi is notwithstanding about their quality. Tubi, we love you. We're gonna call.
Yeah,
we're gonna call you.
Ring a ding ding. The screenplay is also written by Matt Greenberg. He did revisions on Children of the Corn 3, Guillermo del Toro's Mimic, The Prophecy 2, which is a 98 like horror movie with Christopher Walken. He also worked on 1408, which is a Stephen King adaptation, and the Pet Sematary remake in 2019, which is also a Stephen King adaptation, obviously. Producer Paul Freeman, we've talked about before. He was here for Halloween 4, 6, this one, and he will return for Resurrection. The score in this movie is interesting because it is officially credited as John Ottman. He is the composer, and he worked with Bryan Singer on most things that he's done. The Usual Suspects, At Pupil, X2, Superman Returns, Valkyrie, Jack the Giant Slayer, Days of Future Past, X-Men Apocalypse. And then he also reteamed with Steve Miner for Lake Placid. And later he would direct Urban Legends, The Final Cut, which is, I think, the third in that franchise. But then his score, there's also a score credit by Marco Beltrami. And he worked with Wes Craven for Scream, Cursed, Red Eye, My Soul to Take. He worked with Guillermo del Toro for Mimic, Blade 2, and Hellboy. And he's worked with James Mangold for 3:10 to Yuma, The Wolverine, Logan, Ford v Ferrari. And then he scored the first 2 Quiet Place movies as well. That is a name. I don't know if we really mentioned it when we talked about Scream, but yeah, he did all the Scream scores. I think still to this day he does the Scream scores. And apparently the original music score was composed by John Ottman, like I said. But they basically the Weinsteins weren't happy with it, and so they had Marco Beltrami's scores from Scream, Scream 2, and Mimic, like pieces of that put in over some of the chase scenes in the later half of this movie. And so they just are like using pieces of score from those other movies in this movie.
They couldn't have used just general Halloween.
Because they do. It's all over this movie.
I know.
And I like you get Laurie's theme in this. Like, I feel like you get all the appropriate beats that you need in this movie.
I just you only use that, though.
Yeah. I don't know. They wanted it to be more...
The first movie, let's be clear, the first movie recognizably has 3 pieces of music.
Right.
It's like, there's more, but it's the 3 that matter. Just use those. The first one's fine. People say the first movie. People say that John Carpenter's Halloween is a good movie.
Yeah. They say that John Carpenter guy, he's going places.
Yeah.
So we haven't talked about it, but Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis returns for this one.
Yep.
We've said it before. She was in The Fog, Prom Night, Terror Train. Those all followed, and Road Games, all followed immediately after Halloween.
If you're paying attention in the last 3 movies that we've been talking about, Laurie was dead.
Yeah.
She passed.
She was dead.
Hit by a car, I think.
Yeah, or a car accident of
somebody
some
hit
kind.
her. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
The point is that now she's very much alive. So good news, guys. They don't count any of the last 3 movies. It's sad because Jamie's gone. Jamie was great in the first 2. And now she's gone. She never existed.
But not Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis is back.
Yes.
And she considers, she really thinks of this movie as like a thank you note to her fans. And basically she looked back at her career because she had gone on after, kind of being a scream queen for a while and kind of did other things, other non-horror genre stuff. But she said, without that early career, I truly don't think that I would have been an actor. So she felt it was the right time to kind of revisit this character 20 years after the fact.
And then a little bit immediately after.
Yeah, well, that was not her decision at all.
Right. And then again 20 years later.
Yeah.
3 times in a row.
We'll check. Yeah, we'll check in again in 20 years.
Yeah. A lot of Activia from age 20 to age 40, ladies and gentlemen. A human being's weight equivalent worth of Activia in those years.
Michael Myers is played by Chris Durand in this one. He's a stuntman. He worked on Maniac Cop 2 and 3, The Crow, The Mask, a slasher film called Uncle Sam from 96.
Just the idea of Michael smashing through like a gate or a door and just... But he doesn't say anything because he can't. Yeah. He can do the consonant sound with his teeth, but he can't speak.
That's what this movie was really missing.
Yeah.
And then he also, Chris Durand also played, he was the body for Ghostface in certain scenes in Scream 2.
Okay.
So it's kind of cool. I know we typically talk about the masks in these movies.
Yes.
In the documentary Halloween 25 Years of Terror, John Carl Buchler and Greg Nicotero of KMB Effects, they have said that there were actually 4 completely different mask sculpts that were used throughout this movie. The first one, John Carl Buchler made, and that one was kind of based on or resembled the one from Halloween 6. That was used during the opening attack on Marion. But the producers weren't really happy with that. So then Greg Nicotero came in and he made a new sculpt, and then filming resumed after that.
Thank God he made a new sculpt that wasn't of himself.
Right. Fool me once. And then later, another mask was used, and there was actually a CG mask at different points used in this movie.
That's the fact that I have.
I don't really notice it other than when you see it in the reflection. I feel like that has to be.
So you have, with the very high def 4K that you have, it's near unnoticeable. But in the shitty, non-scaled, regular version that I have, you definitely can tell.
Yeah.
You can definitely see it. It is several times, and it is like, it's like, the mask is like blank almost, and they've CG'd like the cheekbones and the nostrils and everything. All of the shadow they've CG'd. Oh my God, it looks terrible. It looks like PS2 like cutscenes, like from a Final Fantasy game. It's weird.
Yeah, and I guess that was to kind of blend between the different masks that they use from different takes for different shots and things, but it's still bizarre.
At least it's not pink.
At least it's not
pink. It's like fucking pink lemonade running around the fucking Haddonfield Elementary.
The original idea for Halloween 7 began as the second half of the treatment written by Daniel Farron. So he was the writer of Halloween 6. And I guess whenever he turned in his writing, he had the idea of doing 2 movies back to back. And that idea for then Halloween 7 would have been called Michael Myers, Lord of the Dead. And it would have opened immediately after the events of Halloween 6, involving Tommy Doyle discovering that the entire town of Haddonfield was involved in the conspiracy to control Michael Myers. So not just Smith's Grove, but the entire town of Haddonfield.
Well, it'd have been everybody except the Myers family. They didn't know. Unless they did know.
And Tommy Doyle himself. Like, just the people living on this one street.
Laurie was in on it.
Oh, man. That would have been the biggest twist.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't go that route.
Me too.
The screenplay that we did get was based on a story by Kevin Williamson. The original working title was Halloween 7, The Revenge of Laurie Strode. And Williamson's challenge right off the bat was they wanted to try and keep the events, the continuity of 4, 5, and 6 in the fold. And so they explained the quote-unquote death of Laurie Strode and acknowledged that her daughter, Jamie Lloyd, all of that was canon. But his original treatment, the way that they kind of got around it was in his original treatment, they included a scene in which a student at the school that Laurie is teaching at, named Sarah, she gives a class report on the Haddonfield murders. She goes into detail about, all the things that Michael Myers has done, how his sister Laurie had been the sole survivor of that initial attack, and then confirming that her daughter Jamie had, lost both of her parents in a car accident, but that rumors were out there that Laurie wasn't actually dead and had, gone under an assumed name somewhere else, and given up Jamie for adoption to keep her safe, but that Jamie still ended up being killed and they had found her body like a year or so before this. And then it would have followed with a scene of Laurie hearing this for the first time, that this had happened to Jamie, and going to the bathroom and being sick over it. But somewhere in the writing process, they cut all of that, and they decided, nope, we're just going to go with the only ones that matter are Halloween's 1 and 2.
Thank God. God, can you imagine? Like, that's the only reason that Halloween 6 is palatable. Is like, well, we know that we know that none of this matters.
Right.
We know that we don't have to worry about, like, where's Michael's trench coat? We only have to worry about his boots.
Yeah.
And his boots are made for walking, which is a Puss in Boots reference.
I don't feel like you get any really good boot shots in this movie.
Yeah, of course you do.
Do you?
He lowers himself, showing off near Olympian upper body strength as he lowers himself slowly. But the very first thing you see are those motherfucking boots.
Man, when you were right, you're right.
He kind of kicks the camera a little bit. I don't know why they didn't take that again.
But yeah, so they still take into consideration that Laurie is Michael's sister.
Yeah.
The events of Halloween 2 happened. She watched him burn, but somehow he survived. We do not get an explanation. Honestly, this movie is pretty simple.
It's too simple.
That is, yeah.
I think it's fine, especially compared to the cluster headache that the last 3 were. But like, yeah, no, there's nothing there.
We don't know where he came from before this.
We do not have a good understanding as to how he knows where she is. Because another thing, the setting for this is like the summary says, it's in Northern California. So they finally did the thing that everyone was saying. And it's like, well, just set the fucking movie in California. So they did. But the thing is that she's in California under an assumed name. What?
He finds a little bit of information in the opening scene, and that's all it takes, I guess. And then he can drive right there.
He's been somewhere. Oh, he's been living. The only piece of lore that they kept from 4, 5, and 6 is he lives with that old man in the tree with his parrot.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's he been feeding him? Now, you may be surprised to hear this, but John Carpenter actually was considering coming back to direct this. Mainly because Jamie Lee Curtis wanted to reunite as much of the cast and crew that she could from the original. And he had agreed to direct, but his starting fee as a director was $10 million. And he said he wanted a 3-picture deal with Dimension Films. He basically rationalized this by saying that it was compensation for the revenue that he had never gotten from the original Halloween that he was originally promised. And that was a point of contention between Carpenter and Mustafa Akkad for over the last 20 years. And so when Akkad and the Weinsteins basically turned him down for that fee, he quit the project and refused involvement once again. And then Steve Miner was hired to replace him.
Can you imagine? Right? Because, like, okay, we've been friends for a long time. We live together. It's like you'll go out and you're like, hey, I'm going to go get some food. Do you want anything? And I'm like, well, I'm busy. I don't have time to go. And it's like, well, I'll pick you up something. Just send me the money. And like, I'll forget to send you the money because things happen. And it's like a couple days later, you'll be like, hey, by the way, don't forget that delicious, delicious chicken. You owe me money for that. I was like, oh, right. Can you imagine it being 20 years? And it's like, hey, by the way, you still owe me millions of dollars.
You owe me $10 million.
Yeah. And it's like,
don't forget.
And it's like, man, I totally forgot. I'll get it to you. And he takes a phone call and he's like, where are we with Halloween 6? Is that out yet? And it's like, yeah. It's like, did we make enough money to pay John his 10 mil? No. It's like, fuck.
Is he still on about that? No.
No, we're never doing
It's
that.
not happening. He's not standing there right now, is he?
His Halloween, his scare, his trick, and his treat. His trick is that we keep telling him we're going to give it to him. And his treat is to die in obscurity because we're never going to give it to him. Mustafa Akkad doesn't realize that John Carpenter had made any other movies.
Yeah.
He's singularly focused on Halloween.
Yeah, I'm just taking it back to formula. Filming began in February of 98 in and around the Los Angeles area and ended on April 20th of 98. The filming location, I wanted to bring this up when we talked about another movie, and I didn't. And I'm kind of glad that I saved it. The filming location for Hillcrest Academy, the private school, was filmed at Canfield Moreno Estate. It's located in Silver Lake in Los Angeles. So the house that the school is, that we see it's the hallways, the outside courtyard, that whole building
right,
is a mansion that's been used in several things, but it was used as Milton's mansion during the climax of Scream 3.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Because it's like weirdly like Mediterranean style.
Yeah, in this, the pool that, because when Sydney comes in and she picks up the phone and she's outside in the courtyard, there's a
Right.
pool there. In this movie, it's filled in because Laurie walks across that courtyard and like walks across the top of the pool, basically. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. And then it would later be used as the ending in the movie Neon Demon in 2016. And strangely enough, it is also where apparently My Chemical Romance lived in this mansion during the writing and demo process for the Black Parade album.
Well, goddamn, this is the coolest house ever.
Yeah, agreed. So screenwriter and producer Kevin Williamson was involved in, various areas of production. Besides rewriting a whole ton of the character dialogue and making, alterations to the script, so much so that they really fought for him to get a writing credit. But there's a whole ruling of like, you've got to, in order to get your name as a writer credit after a script has already been written, you have to have added or changed up to 33% of a script. And they deemed it not that. And so they eventually gave him a co-executive producer credit instead, because they wanted to be able to say in the marketing, like from, the writer of, or from the producer of Scream, because Scream 1 and Scream 2 had just, recently come out. So Kevin Williamson had like a dilemma, and the other writers really had a dilemma when Jamie Lee Curtis wanted this to be the end of the series. Which, I think that was kind of part of the reason she wanted to come back on, is like, yeah, let's check in with Laurie 20 years later and we will have the final confrontation between these two characters.
Yeah.
But in true Mustafa Akkad fashion, he had a clause that legally would not allow the writers to kill Michael Myers off in the film. So according to the an interview on the Scream Factory Blu-ray, Jamie Lee Curtis almost left the project just weeks before filming because of this clause. But Kevin Williamson, basically, he came up with the paramedic storyline and presented it with Akkad. Now, the paramedic storyline will make sense next week when we talk about Halloween Resurrection. But he basically came up with an ending where they could have their cake and eat it too. And so Curtis agreed to be part of the film under the condition that no footage hinting at a sequel could be used in this movie, and that the audience must believe that Michael is dead until the inevitable sequel was announced.
So the worst part about this movie, the fact that it is in no way as final as it seems, which would have been a good ending.
Yeah.
The only reason that that's bullshit is because of Mustafa Akkad.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the subtitle for the entire franchise. Halloween. The worst decisions are Mustafa Akkad's.
Do you know what day it is? Of all the days for you to pull this shit, what do you think you can do? Just wander around town? I don't ask you for very much. Just give me one day!
I've given you 17 years.
And I need you to be responsible. Do you know what that means? Responsible.
Don't talk to me about responsible,
I
Mom.
just need this one thing.
Mom, I am not responsible for you! That's it. That's enough. I can't take it, Mom. He's dead. Michael Myers is dead.
What do you want me to say?
That it's over? That we should try to get on with some attempt at a happy existence, Mom. Because all the shit that's going on in your head is leaking out on me, and I can't take it anymore. You told me yourself you watched him burn.
I didn't exactly stay to see his ashes.
20 years. 20 years. Don't you think he would have shown up by now? What's he waiting for, huh?
Certain MCU theorists will say that the reason Thanos waited so long to collect the stones to destroy half of all life in the galaxy is he needed to wait for certain players to be removed that could have stopped him effortlessly. People like Odin. He needed Odin to have departed. He needed, whatever. The players within the MCU.
Who would have been powerful enough.
Right. So that's what I think happens here. I think Michael waits that 20 years. It's kind of indicated and implied like, oh, yeah, he's waiting for her son to reach the age that she was.
Right.
But like he wouldn't know that she has a kid. So I don't think that's what starts him down the road. I think it's Loomis dying. Loomis dies and he's like, my great nemesis. I can finally, and Loomis is looking up from hell because he went to hell.
Okay.
And he's looking up from hell and he's going, yeah! And that's what the whole thing's about.
Wow, that's your headcanon?
Yeah, because her son goes, well, what would he be waiting for? What was he waiting for? Why wait for this long?
Yeah.
He needed Loomis out of the picture. Because Loomis has a 6-shooter.
Yeah. Oh, Paul Rudd was Ant-Man. Can't believe I missed that.
Oh my God. I really hope that lands as well as I think it will. I really hope. If you're out there right now and you just went, what? Fuck you.
Yeah. Non-completist.
We know what's funny.
This movie starts.
Yes. With a crazy coincidence. So Carly and I have been watching, it's a Peacock exclusive, like original. It's Natasha Lyonne.
Right.
Writes and produces a show called Poker Face.
With Ryan Johnson.
Right. And he's, the storytelling of it is great. It's like a very old serialized, kind of like Smoke and Gun, just travels from town to town solving mysteries. It's really good. But in it, one of the episodes stars an older version of what we've all famously known to be a younger man.
Okay.
And he has 3 names. The first name is Joey, and the middle is Gordo, and the last one is when the levee breaks.
Oh man,
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And so we had just watched that episode of him in that movie or in that show. And then you get home, we sit down, we start watching, and it's like, oh my God, I forgot he was in this.
Yeah, I really did too. Yeah, he pops up as Jimmy here in just a second. But no, it's funny that you mentioned all of that. And I'll get to that in just a moment here. We start with Mr. Sandman, which is if we hadn't, if they weren't telling us immediately that this is connected to Halloween 2.
Yeah.
This is the follow-up.
Yeah.
We start with the same song that ended that one. And then we're very much, looking at these streets of not Haddonfield. We're in Langdon, Illinois. So a nearby,
like a new location. It's not Smith's Grove. It's not Haddonfield. It's somewhere else. But
it's the streets of this little town, and they're celebrating Halloween, or they're getting ready for it because they're carving jack-o'-lanterns, and they're, kids are running around in costumes. There's decorations everywhere. It's October 29th of 1998. So 20 years later. Marion Chambers Whittington is the name given here. She is called Mrs. Whittington. So Nancy Stevens as Marion Chambers returns. She was also in Escape from New York and Halloween 2, and then she reprises her role here in H2O, and she will reprise her role again in Halloween Kills.
Everyone's back, baby. No one's
uh,
ever really gone.
No, not in this franchise. They literally have to die in real life to not be brought back.
Yeah. And even still, sometimes they come back.
Yeah.
They get Grand Moff Tarkin.
That's true.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about that. So she goes up to her house. There's the porch light fixture is like shattered. She steps on glass. She opens her front door and then assumes that someone has broken in. Yeah. There's not really anything. I don't know if she hears a sound or something, but she runs to the neighbor's house. And the most interesting thing about this is that on the porch of this neighbor's house, there's all these Halloween decorations, but there is Butterball the Cenobite.
Yes.
Like a prop from Hellraiser.
The tension in this home has been growing for weeks because you thought it was in 5, maybe. Then you thought it was in 6. You're like, oh shit, is it in Resurrection?
I was like, I can't remember which of these movies.
I was like, I think it's Resurrection. That seems like something that they would have in that movie. And then this movie opens and he's right there. And you're like, oh shit. It's like, yeah, dude, Ant-Man was Paul Rudd. Like, you know?
And Butterball was right there the whole time.
Buttering up them balls.
He's just hanging out on the porch. But Jimmy, the character's name is, he pops up in a hockey mask.
Yeah.
A little nod to Jason, you know, the director, Steve Miner. He had directed a couple of those. But Jimmy Howell is played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who you mentioned.
Yep. Who is famously Robin.
Yeah. Before this movie, he was in a couple things, but he was in Angels in the Outfield. And then right after this, he was in 10 Things I Hate About You, which is a 99 teen rom-com starring Heath Ledger, who would later go on to play the Joker.
I thought you were going to say one of the Brothers Grimm.
Yeah, that too. But, you know, he would then go on to also work with Christopher Nolan on Inception and The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes, where he plays somebody who's secret. I don't remember the character's name. I remember that he's like the
something Blake.
And you like that.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but get all your hate comments now. I perfectly fine with that Robin. No, I mean the people listening.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. Are the average listener, are they going to be on my side or your side?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Let us know.
But yes, it's funny that you mentioned Poker Face because he is Joseph Gordon-Levitt, JGL, if you will. He is one of Rian Johnson's like go-to people.
Okay.
Because he was in his film Brick and his film Looper. And then he also has cameo appearances in Knives Out, Glass Onion, and The Last Jedi.
He's in The Last Jedi?
Yeah, he's I don't know if you even see his face.
I love Looper.
Yeah?
I saw the movie in theaters.
Oh, strange.
Yeah. I like that movie a lot.
Have you ever seen Brick?
No.
It's like a classic film noir, but it takes place in a high school. But they all talk like that.
You're getting kicked off the cheerleading team.
It's all that sort of stuff. It's interesting. The way that it's shot is really good. But yeah, JGL is the lead in that.
JGL is also in 500 Days of Summer, a movie I've never seen, but have owned for a long time.
That's strange.
I own it on DVD, still shrink wrapped. Don't know where it came from.
All right.
No.
Basically, they call the police, and he goes into Marion's home and finds that her office, or probably more like Loomis's office, has been ransacked.
Yeah,
and all the paperwork is all over the floor. But he doesn't find anybody in the house, so she's like, "Okay, coast is clear. I'll just go in there." Power is out. We get a picture of Loomis. And she finds the file for Laurie Strode empty. The folder is empty on the floor. So then we get, it's kind of our classic Michael at the end of the hallway bits. She, turns around just in time to miss him as he leaves through the back door. But then she freaks out and runs back over to Jimmy's house, where Jimmy has now been killed by an ice skate to the face. Yeah,
his whole thing is like, I'm the hockey kid. At one point, he's like, you should see the things I do with this stick. And it's like, shut the fuck up. This is what I mean by dialogue. It's like, shut the fuck. But anyway, his ice skate has been like at a 40-degree angle, plunged bootly into his face.
Yeah.
It's good.
And for a second, I feel like I always question if it's a prank. Because it's like him and a friend of his who have been like helping Marion. They live next door. He lives next door and the friend is around. So it's like for a second, I'm like, are they playing a prank on Marion for some reason? Is the friend going to be the one in the Michael costume, or what's going on here? But then no, the friend is also dead and Michael has killed him and then comes in and attacks Marion as well.
He has picked up their dog by the tip of his tail, put it over his mouth like a noodle, and went, and it was just a bunch of bones.
He's mastered that craft over 20 years. But she fights and she loses, and he cuts her throat right as the cops show up. And then he steals, I guess, Jimmy's car and drives away slowly.
Jimmy seems much too young to own like a World War I infantry trooper bus.
No, he gets that from the mother and daughter, who I also don't know why they're driving that at the rest stop.
Oh my God, you're
like
right.
like a Camaro or something.
Okay, that makes more sense.
But it's still, yeah, it's bizarre that truck is in this movie. I don't know.
Yeah, that is, and no one questions it. It's like I think they wanted something that would like kind of pass under the radar. That if you saw it, you would never look twice. But even in '98, if you see like a World War I like van parked in front of your hardware store, that's like the whole time it's running, it's like you're gonna be like, what the fuck is this? What is it, running on ethanol? Like, get it out of here.
It's a bizarre choice. I do not understand it all. But it's revealed, basically the cops the next day are picking through the remains of everything, and it's just an expository scene just for them to say like, yeah, that was Marion, and she was Dr. Loomis's live-in nurse. And, you know, he passed away a couple years ago. And, but you know, he used to be after that Michael Myers guy. And then they just kind of retell us things that we already know about Michael and Haddonfield, and that it happened 20 years ago. And then we get a pretty cool little opening credit sequence, I think. Like, the camera kind of moves around the room, and we see all of Loomis's files and like his
like Pepe Sylvia like pin board with all of the newspaper clippings.
Yeah. And so it's like as we move around through there, then all the credits kind of slide around and across the screen. And it's showing kind of all the events of the first two movies. There is one newspaper clipping that shows like Laurie Strode dies in car crash or something. And so it's like, that's like the one thing left over from that first draft where they were going to keep the events of 4 and 5 and 6 in there. Everything else was cut out of that. But we then get a Loomis voiceover. Now, the studio was unable to retrieve the unmixed audio of Loomis saying those lines from the original movie. And so they had to get a voice actor to imitate Donald Pleasance. And so they brought in, do you know who they brought in? Because you're like a voiceover guy. They brought in Tom Kane. So Tom Kane is famous for, I mean, a lot of things, but what I know him from is he was Darwin in the Wild Thornberrys. He was Dr. Plutonium in the Powerpuff Girls. And then my main thing that I know him from is he is Yoda and the narrator and a bunch of other roles in the Clone Wars, Star Wars animated series.
Okay.
But he does a pretty decent job. Like,
I didn't know that it was voiceover. So yeah.
It's when you know that it is, you will pick it out next time.
They should have gotten me to do it.
Yeah, they really should have. You missed your calling.
To be Dr. Loomis.
Just the voice of. We then move to Summer Glen, California, and it is October 31st, Halloween. And we kind of get like a nightmare sequence that's shot in POV, moving through the hallways of this school, and it goes into the headmistress's office where we see the name Carrie Tate on the counter, or on the desk there, I should say. And then there's like a quick flash. It moves to the closet. And there's a quick flash of like Michael bursting through the closet door from one.
Yeah.
And then we wake up to Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode.
But as we know her now, so she's very short, croppy, dark hair.
But yeah, having a nightmare, not having a good time.
Not wearing a shitty, terrifying wig.
No, that's the best part of this movie, is that she's not in a wig.
Yeah. The worst part about Halloween 2 is the best part about H2O. No, it's the wig. Yeah. Either it being or not being in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. We're also introduced to her son, John Tate, who's played by Josh Hartnett. This is his first role. He got the introducing credit. Also, Joseph Gordon-Levitt gets the "and" credit, and he is already dead by the time that opening credit comes on screen.
He's famous.
He is.
He's famous. What's funny is that you can see Kevin Williamson in that, where it's like, you know, it'd be really funny. Who's like, that's Joseph Gordon-Levitt guy. It's like super popular right now.
Yeah.
Let's kill him off immediately, like we do in Scream.
Yeah, it's got to be a nod.
It has
sure.
to be.
Which is, I think that is something that's very interesting to me about this movie is that, and we talked a little bit about this with 6, is like Curse of Michael Myers was like the last of this franchise, the last like slasher of the 90s before Scream comes out.
Right.
And so it's like Scream is done almost as the reaction to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Scream 2 comes out like back to back, and then this comes out, and this feels like a reaction to Scream.
Well, they all do.
Yeah.
It's the music, the kind of grunge, like almost static, like cinematography, the way everything's filmed. All of your shots have this really like sort of grungy, grainy quality to them, and it's like, guys, the reason, like, I can't explain to you why it works for Scream and it doesn't work here, but whatever. Listen, Scream's better
than this movie.
All movies. It's the best movie.
I'm glad we started with that one then.
Yeah, me too.
Josh Hartnett. He will be in The Faculty, which is the 98 sci-fi horror movie that's directed by Robert Rodriguez and written by Kevin Williamson. He is then in 30 Days of Night in 2007, which is the vampire movie. He is in the period drama horror series Penny Dreadful, the whole season of that. And then he will later be in Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer and M. Night Shyamalan's Trap.
Jesus, so everyone is in Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Is JGL in Oppenheimer?
If you were oh man, really racking my brain here.
Let us know in the comments below. Joseph,
I don't think he is. No, he doesn't even do like a cameo or anything.
You ruined an opportunity for the audience to enjoy it. Connect with us, you know.
I'm sorry. I'm literal in most things I do, and if I have an answer, then I have to give it.
You are literally trash.
Their interactions here are, Laurie is an overprotective mother.
Yeah. And he's like, shut up. I don't like this character. And we were just talking about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like the son. The son is frustrating to me. The son feels fabricated to be Thorn inside, but is not like, I don't know.
The Curse of Thorn?
Oh God, no. It doesn't seem in any way like he took it seriously or they took it seriously. And so he just comes off as like this shitty, and he's like much taller than her.
Yeah.
He's like, shut up, mom. I'm giving you like 10 years, bro. It's like, shut the fuck up, dude.
I don't know. I like it. I like his performance in this, especially in that scene. I think some of his delivery is really good there. I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Like, I understand it. Jamie Lee Curtis talks about like watching him on set, because this is his first thing he's done, and like how he didn't want to, like, he wanted to be in this, but he didn't want to be like a movie star. He didn't want to do that. And so like between takes, he would like throw a beanie on and like go and sit in the corner and just kind of like do his own thing. And that's why his hair looks awful the entire movie, is because he has just ripped a beanie off to do the shoot and then go right back to it.
It's real dumb.
Yeah.
You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of like his performance and like the kind of whininess of it. Reminds me of the caliber of performance from Seed of Chucky, the driver, Jennifer Tilly's driver.
Yeah.
It's like, but I love you, Tiffany. It's like, but mom, I gave you so much of my life already. And it's like, hey, you little boy. That is, first of all, it's your mom. It was just, Mother's Day came went. You be nice to your mother.
Yeah. But in the universe of the movie,
right,
it's Halloween, so we're months after.
Even worse, I bet he didn't get her anything. I bet he got her. He made her a card.
You know who sends him a card? His abusive methadone addict father, who is not in the picture. He sends him a happy birthday. Congrats on being 17. Hope you don't get stabbed.
Is it signed Jimmy Lloyd?
You don't see a signature.
It should have been Jimmy Lloyd.
But yeah, hopefully that's
I love that.
canon.
I love that. In Halloween 4, 5, and 6, it's Jimmy Lloyd, and he's tragically passed away as part of this car accident with Laurie. And then in H2O, he is a deadbeat meth head. It's just like, happy birthday, son.
This is where we get because she is the headmistress, if we hadn't said that, of this academy. And so he leaves for classes that day and goes out across the courtyard. She kind of watches him go, and you see Michael's reflection in the window with her.
Mm-hmm.
And Laurie's theme plays. This is the first time we get that reprise here. And it's just that thing of like, even after 20 years, this is something that's still weighing on her mind. We're introduced to basically all of John's friends here. So Charlie Devereaux is played by Adam Hanbird or Adam Hanbird, maybe. He is a Jumanji.
Wow.
He plays young Alan Parrish.
Okay.
And he was in a movie called Diabolique in 96, which is a remake of a French thriller called Les Diaboliques. I can't say it. I'm not French.
That's fine. Le baguette.
Les Diaboliques. It's the Diabolics.
Right.
How do you say that in French?
I don't know. Let me see it. First pass, Le Diabolique. Something like that.
It's probably better than I did.
Yeah, and then Les Miserables.
Yeah, that one I can do. More strange is that this guy, after being an actor in a couple things here and there, he then was the writer he was a writer for the second and third seasons of Fringe.
We just talked about Fringe.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Sarah Wainthrope is played by Jodie Lynn O'Keefe. She is in She's All That, which is a 99 teen rom-com starring Matthew Lillard.
Does she play the teen who is all that?
I have no idea. I've never seen it. She was in The Crow, Salvation.
Fake fan.
The third in that franchise. It stars Kirsten Dunst and Don Shanks
What the fuck?
as guard number 1.
Welcome back, Don.
Don, for anyone listening at home who doesn't catch that, is Michael Myers in Halloween 5.
Yeah.
And then Molly Cartwell, which is John's girlfriend, played by Michelle Williams, who is a main cast member of the Kevin Williamson show Dawson's Creek. She's in all 128 episodes. And then later she'd be in Brokeback Mountain in 2005 with Heath Ledger.
It's all connected, folks.
And she's in Shutter Island, which is a Martin Scorsese film. And she is in Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage.
Yes.
And she is also in The Fabelmans, playing basically Steven Spielberg's mother.
Okay.
She would go on to be get a nomination for an Academy Award that year. She did not win for lead actress, but you know who won for supporting actress that year?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis. We're back, baby.
We're back, baby. She's under the assumed name, and I don't hate the homage stuff in this. Very quickly, because I don't know how much time we need to spend on this. Very quickly, Michael has taken the kid's car from the beginning,
right?
But literally, I think he gets a flat.
He does. There's this old truck drives up to a rest stop, and then the camera shows that the car that he stole is there, and the tire is just shredded.
So instead of stealing a nicer car or anything, remember he stole Mike's car,
yeah,
and he didn't do that in this. He stole the car,
but it's a very similar car. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, he steals the Ford Model T, and he puts it away. But yeah, that kind of catches us up.
Yeah.
Because it's presumed now that he is somewhere in this area.
Yeah, he's heading to California, but he's in the area.
Do you think honest to God, do you think, because if you look up from Illinois to California driving, I'm sure it's a week, days at the very least. Does Michael listen to music? Does he roll the windows down? Does he stop to sleep at all?
Huh. I mean, is he a person? Is he just evil incarnate? Does he need
evil
to
on
sleep?
2 legs?
Oh, thank you, Dr. Loomis.
You're welcome.
I don't know. That is so funny to think about, though. Of Michael, just switching through channels on the radio and just nah, I don't like that.
That's when I think about it, one of the things, a question like that's always stumped me is, does Batman listen to the radio? If he's cruising Gotham or going to do a thing, does he listen to music? In such a cute casting decision, we meet Norma, who is the headmistress's secretary. It's her like her personal assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And she's this older woman, very matronly.
It's funny you say that.
Yeah. But she is in real life, Norma's actress is Jamie Lee Curtis's mom.
Yeah, Janet Leigh,
who is in another horror franchise.
Yeah. She is most famously in Psycho. She played Marion Crane, which is where Marion, who was murdered in the first scene of this movie, gets her name from. And she was also in Night of the Lepus, which is a 1972 horror film about giant rabbits. And then she also appears with Jamie Lee Curtis in The Fog.
Yes.
In 1980.
Now, I like The Fog, I think, more than H2O. So it's like,
oh yeah,
it's like,
I love The Fog.
I do too, but it's like, oh, well, they've already done this. But this one's almost like this. I like The Fog as a movie more. This is more heartwarming.
Yes.
They have many more wink and nod sort of like, listen, some maternal advice. And they have those kind of conversations. It's cute. It's really nice.
Yeah. And there's a lot of Psycho references in this as well.
Yeah.
And I guess the difference here is like, because we talked about in the last two movies where they did the little nods to events that happened in Halloween, or like that the whole finale of 78 Halloween is just kind of redone poorly in Halloween 6. And like, I hate it.
Yeah.
Because you haven't earned it.
No.
But like, there are probably double the amount of those sorts of references made in this movie, and I don't have a problem with them at all.
Not a single one of them. The only one that's weird, and I'm jumping way ahead, is that at one point Michael, they're like, Laurie's like goading him, like, sit up, Michael, get up, Michael, and he does the sit up, but it's the physical performance of it is really not. It didn't capture that feel at all. His sit up is like super jarred and like,
it's like I almost turned to you and went, "Was that a reference?" When we were watching it, it's like it doesn't look like they were really trying. But
I think
like
it's
I guess that's what it's.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be that, but it ends up looking more like those like you go to Spirit Halloween and you step on the little pad that says "step here," and the animatronic clunkily sits up. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah. That's probably what it was.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
We also meet her Ben Stein stand-in lover.
Yeah. Will Brennan, who's played by Adam Arkin. He was in Full Moon High, which is an 1981 teen werewolf comedy. And then he would be in Steve Miner's Lake Placid. And he also was in the Nick Cage film from 2021, Pig, which I love that movie.
I recognize him from somewhere. It's none of those things.
Yeah.
So either he is similar to other performers, because he is.
Yeah.
As so similarly that I have mistaken them, or it's just some bit thing that I've seen however many years ago. But he's good in this. He's fine. He's a little weird. There's some weird moments, but like he's fine. It makes zero sense that she would end up with him, because like Laurie was always very confident and vivacious and beautiful, but also like she didn't really like the cheap sort of like, well, what about prom? What about like romance? And she was like, I don't fucking care about any of that. I'm trying to get out of here. I'm trying to be a star. But the point is that it on paper, looking at Laurie in Halloween 1, it's like, I don't see why she would ever end up with like the dorky guidance counselor. But it's like, oh, her life has been fucking terrible. And this movie is very clear about like, oh, and she's also an alcoholic.
Yes.
Like she has a drinking problem. She has PTSD. I don't think they come out and say you have PTSD, but it's like, I don't know that they would have talked too much about that stuff in the late 90s.
Yeah, and honestly, that was one of the things that Jamie Lee Curtis really wanted to explore in this movie was how rough Laurie's life has been since, having to go into hiding and all the terrible things that have happened and her dealing with this trauma. And they kind of pulled that back a bit.
Yeah.
Because they were like, one, Laurie should have more things. Like she needs to be a little bit better set off in life so that she has more to lose in this movie. Yeah. But also we can't just sit here and have it be as dark as you want it, because I don't think audiences are going to like that.
Yeah. What I will say is that they established something here, which I love, and it's very Kevin Williamson because it's like, it's a very Scream plot in that, hey, everybody, I hope you have your permission slips signed. You are all going to Yellowstone National Park.
Yeah.
That's the big field trip.
Yosemite. Yeah.
Is it Yosemite? Okay.
Yeah.
It's a park with a Y, but they're going Yosemite National Park.
Yeah.
I was going to say Yellowstone again. And I may have already cut that out, but I'll keep this in. And what I love about that is, okay, in order to make this movie work, we need three things. A very big set, like a very big setting. It needs to be geographically, it needs to be big.
Yeah. You have places to run and hide and,
right.
You know.
And if not a big house, the school works fine. It works for the purposes of where our characters are and what they're doing. But we also need everyone gone because it doesn't make any sense that they would all be there.
Right.
Which is why the Mocker House, I love so much that late edition of in Scream 1. Oh my God, the principal's fucking dead. Let's dip. Because then you got a big house and you've got no one left.
Besides your main players.
Right. They stay. And you've got, then the son is dealing with his own struggle, which makes him not want to be part of the field trip, which Laurie's worried about anyway. So it all comes full circle into like a passing of the torch of who he is going to hunt in a very large environment with very few people. And that is that, like, I can't think about the plot and think, oh, well, he had nothing to do. Kevin Williamson had nothing to do with that. It's like, no, those are his stories.
Yeah.
A quick aside. I was talking about Halloween 4 to a friend of mine who works at a comic book shop.
Okay.
And they were like, I don't remember a lot about Halloween 4. The one thing I remember about Halloween 4 is when the doctor, and like, this is how limited the knowledge is. It's like, I don't know it's Loomis's name. I just know that it's the doctor. But they go, when the doctor shows up to the gas station, he gets out and is immediately like flailing around and is like banging shit with his cane. And he's like, hello, hello. And I was floored. I was laughing so fucking hard because, like, okay, it's not just me.
Yeah.
So I think now that we have officially entered one of the films in the series where he's, Donald Pleasance has passed away, please send us in any way you want your favorite Donald Pleasance moment. It doesn't have to be from Halloween, but it probably will be because this is where he dials up to 1 million. But let us know. Let us know what your favorite Dr. Loomis moment is, or Donald Pleasance moment, because he was a gem, and it honestly makes the movie worse that he's not in it.
Yeah. It's the one missing piece.
It is. And if you can feel it, because the very next sequence that we have is Laurie goes out into this town. It's like the school is like built up into this town.
Yeah.
And she goes into like the main street where we find out the reason is she's going to meet up with her boyfriend.
Right.
This
which they're having like a secret relationship, that
her mom seems to kind of, or I can't call her mom. Norma, her assistant, kind of seems to know about, which is funny.
But yes, they go into town, and we're also introduced here to Ronnie, who's played by LL Cool J, who's the security guard.
Yeah.
LL Cool J has starred in Toys, which is a 92 Robin Williams film. He later will be in Deep Blue Sea and a serial killer movie in 2004 called Mindhunters.
He's not bad in this.
Not bad at all.
His performance is pretty good. He's a comedic relief, but the comedy beats are funny.
Yeah, they're not like groan inducing or anything like that. Like, I like what he has, his own little character things that are going on over here, and he just happens to be the security guard at this school.
He's like a big, very muscular guy who's like clearly very masculine, but the comedy bit is that he's trying to break out from doing security by becoming a smut author.
Yeah.
And he keeps calling his girlfriend to talk to her on the phone. And it's like their relationship is kind of cute and quirky. And it's like, I like his character an awful lot. I think it's very funny.
Yes, I like that character a great deal. And every time we kind of cut back to them, we just get this little peek into his life, because it's not that he's not paying attention to what's going on around him. It's not that sort of thing.
He's healthily distracted. He's distracted because he's working on something very personal. He shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
But he is. And it's like, he talks about like, he's like, her breasts were like big melons and whatever. And his girlfriend's like, why do you think that's romantic? And he's like, I don't know. It's what I would say to you. And she's like, it is? It's so funny.
Yeah. Great little character moments there.
Yeah.
But John and Charlie, they trick him basically into
Yeah.
letting them off campus. So they also go into town. And so we catch up with Laurie. There's a nice little crane shot down onto this like main stretch here.
It's good geography.
And it reminds me a little bit of the shots in Halloween 4 and 5 where we see the storefront where she gets her costume in 4 and where the man in black shows up in 5.
Okay.
It's not the same place, but it just reminds me of that.
It's better now than it was then.
Yeah. Laurie, we get another thing where she sees the reflection of Michael in the storefront window, and then we get our first of 2 Will jump scares in this movie where she turns around and her boyfriend Will Brennan is there.
Yeah, which she seems to see Michael like in this man's silhouette way more often than anyone else.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if it's supposed to be that or because he's coming from a different angle, like different direction on the street there. So I don't know if it's supposed to be she's seeing his reflection as Michael and then she turns around and it's not. I
think there's a level of intimacy that he's providing where it's a certain closeness, a certain physical touch that because she has suffered so strongly from the reactions to what have happened to her, that physical touch is probably a non-starter.
Okay.
So I think that I think it's I take it as she is being touched in a way that she is not normally comfortable with and immediately reacts by thinking it's him.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think even 20 years later, if somebody spends, 48 hours of your life trying to hunt you down and kill you, it's like, well, yeah, I'm probably going to see him in every corner.
Yeah. They stop in at this little like cafe there on the strip. They're having, their little secret lunch. And she tells him like, I haven't been honest with you about some stuff. And he kind of psychoanalyzes her a bit. I feel like they do a good job of showing us that these characters have been, even secretly together for a while now.
That he's comfortable enough with her to talk to her in these ways. And she's beginning to trust him in a way that she wouldn't trust other people.
Right.
Yeah.
And that they have this back and forth. He is the guidance counselor or whatever at the school, but he is, maybe he does psychology or something.
Yeah.
And so he's reading into her a bit and they kind of play with that. And he doesn't, but she doesn't seem immediately in this moment ready to tell him exactly what it is, but she's getting there.
Well, she's even like, we can meet up later. Everybody, all the kids will be gone.
Yeah.
Except for, very importantly, the child of hers who she will not let go.
Right.
Who she then sees on the street.
Yes. Bumps into him. And that is where we have our clip.
Yeah. He blames her for a bad life because she's dealt with real issues. She tells him basically, you don't fucking understand what you're talking about. I side with her 100%. He has no idea. Yeah. If ever a person deserves the opportunity to be a helicopter mom, it's fucking Laurie Strode. And so it's, get the fucking car and they go back. But if only a 100,000-year-old car caught their attention. Because they would have seen that thing just and Michael sitting in there like, turn over. And he's whacking he's hitting the spark plugs with the stick. I don't know.
He has to get out and like turn the little thing on the front.
Yeah. He has to siphon gas from the fuel tank to spit back in because it only works if there's a little bit of spit in it.
Yeah. It's strange that they don't notice him follow them. It's stranger whenever they pull up to the gate and he parks behind them for a bit and they don't see him at all.
Like, I guess it might be, it's like if there's only one entrance in or out of a place but like those kids don't drive.
No.
So because he is right there. And for the record, his face is pure white. Like it's stark white. So like if you turned around and be like, oh, there he is. Because he's wearing the fucking mask.
And she's already paranoid. She's on the lookout for him. So
it's not like she's having flashbacks to him as he looked in the original film.
Right.
She's having flashbacks to how he looks right now. So like she'd recognize him. Laurie, turn around.
He's right over there.
Laurie, check first of all, it's a bad sign that you're not checking your mirrors.
Yeah.
You should check your mirrors.
Yeah. You should do that before you start moving the car. Yeah. It's for safety. It's for everyone. But I guess this whole point of this is he follows and parks behind them so that he can witness how the gate opens.
Right.
Because there's the interaction with like Ronnie having to come out, open the gate with the little, thing there. and how long it takes that gate to open.
It's like, bro,
and close.
But he should know, because he then later, like, he tricks Ronnie, Michael does, by leaving the car running outside of the gates. Ronnie goes and checks, and he gets inside. And now Michael's in the school, so we can have our, third act, which is good, and it's set up well. Everything that has happened now has had a setup. The one thing that bothers me, and it bothers the fuck out of me.
Okay.
Do you know how to turn the phone lines off for this house?
No.
Okay.
No.
Now you could Google it.
Yeah.
Right. Now, and like that would only do landlines, obviously. That's not really applicable because we have cell phones now.
Right.
But to just stick with me here.
Yeah.
Doing that in a house in the 70s is one thing. I bet you could figure out how to clip a phone line in the 70s.
Yeah, you find where the cable is coming in from the power line outside to the house and where it connects, and even if you just cut all of them.
And people talk about how Michael is methodical and intelligent, far beyond his normal scope, so fine. But to cut all of the phone lines for a major private, academy where the buildings are like stone. It's not like wooden buildings. It's not like fucking Friday the 13th cabins. Michael just has the knowledge of what,
and he
color
does it
wire
immediately
he doesn't leave.
Yeah,
which means the phone lines have to be coming through the security booth. He clips them, probably with his very large rodentine teeth. No one knows what he looks like. You cannot prove me wrong. My assumption is that he has very thick, very big, long, and sharp front teeth.
Wow.
And he uses that to chew through wires. And that's how he got free.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Before we get to that, before he actually makes it on campus, so he's witnessed how the gate works. He leaves. He goes and parks down the street and waits for all of them to leave later.
Lazily.
Yeah.
They drive past him. No one says a word.
Nope.
It's Halloween. Everybody knows about Haddonfield's #1 costume, white-faced man in blue coveralls.
So the kids are basically, Laurie is not allowing John to go on this trip. And so all of his friends figure out ways to also not be able to go on the trip. So they would be the only 4 left at the school, and they can have themselves like a little party. There's a dumbwaiter that's set up in the kitchen.
Dumb waiter, don't tip him.
And John sends his girlfriend Molly flowers and a map down to the maintenance tunnels or a boiler room or a storage area.
I don't mean to get a movie ahead, but do you think the maintenance tunnels connect to the tunnels that are apparently underneath the Myers house from Resurrection?
Man, I have that movie is already in my grave. But that's where he has set up this kind of happy Halloween date area for them to have later.
It's weird because it's not decorated Halloween-y at all.
No,
it's
there's
like
just
Valentine's Day.
There's just a banner and some candles.
This is very strange.
He also, there's a little moment between them where he is like, hey, this is actually the first time I'll be celebrating Halloween. And she's like, well, why is that? He's like, well, because, I have a murderer in my family who's my uncle, and he tried to kill my mom whenever she was younger, and passes it off as a joke. But there is this moment with Molly of just oh, okay. And doesn't know how to take it. And then this is where we get another reference to the original. So they're in class and Laurie is teaching and they're talking about Frankenstein, the novel. And Molly and John are in the back of the class and they're kind of, goofing off. And Molly looks out the window and we get that reprise of she sees Michael standing outside the gate of the school. And Laurie is trying to get the class to, interact and actually answer whatever questions she's asking of in Frankenstein. Why did it take Victor so long to confront his monster? And, much like in Halloween, they're talking about fate. When Molly, is asked the question, she snaps back and she is able to answer. And, the answer there is, talking about facing one's monster, redemption, fate, and what all that means. So it's very thematic to what we're doing here.
It also speaks to fear, and Laurie almost seems like like, are you talking about me right now? Like, it seems to take it very personally.
Yeah. And she would, like, Molly would have no way of knowing any real connection there.
Yeah.
That then Laurie is then making.
Yeah.
And when Molly looks back out the window, Michael is again gone.
And at that point, basically the movie then brings everybody to the center, kicks them all out of the space, introduces Michael into our space, and then it's just a matter of time before, you know, protagonist meets antagonist.
Yeah.
One thing that they do here is that I don't think is absolutely necessary is then one of the next scenes is Laurie is with her boyfriend, and the two of them are like kind of in her like headmistress's quarters, which is like a very nice apartment, and they're getting amorous.
Yes.
Well, and she's drinking, and she's like, I gotta tell you something. My name's Laurie Strode, and like goes into the whole story, but you don't need to do the whole, because she tells him everything.
Yeah.
It's like my, you know, the whole plot, and it's like, you don't need to do that. All you need to do is be like, I'm Laurie Strode. My brother is Michael Myers, and have him go, oh my God, are you being serious? Because like, we don't need her to set up everything. Everyone's heard about this story.
Yeah.
And even if they haven't, in your mind, if they haven't, it's like, just say that they have. Everyone knows who Michael is. Everyone knows who Ted fucking Bundy is. Just say everyone knows who Michael is. But she does. She says the whole, like, everything about what happens. And then he's like, are you lying to me? And she's like, no, I promise. Oh my God, where's my son? And it's just like, this whole scene is like expositional that we don't need.
It's the problem with, you know, 4, 5, and 6 all have multiple scenes of exposition where it's like, well, didn't we get this out in the opening?
Yeah.
Why are we again having to? Why is this character explaining to this character what happened in the first movie?
Yeah. Well, and then the reason I brought up the phone line thing is that it transitions into her picking up the phone,
right?
Because she realizes very quickly, oh, I bet my fucking kid didn't go. Well, and if he did, I got to find out that he's okay, because she puts together, it's his 17th birthday. Michael attacked me when I was 17, so that's probably what he's doing.
Yeah. We get, just before that scene, we had gotten, she finally signs the permission slip.
Yeah.
So she believes that he has gone on this trip.
Right.
And so it's a bit of that, kind of that setup of, she believes he's gone, but he's actually here with his friends. And so, not in the same way as like Mrs. Mack or with, oh my God, in 5, them setting up the sister character to leave, and then Michael kills her, and so it's just like, well, none of that really mattered,
right?
It's just so that whenever they die, nobody goes to look for them,
right?
So it's kind of the reversal of that, I guess.
Sure.
Of her thinking that they're gone, but then it's like, it's the surprise of, oh no, he is also here on campus. Now my biggest fear is doubled, because not only is Michael here for me, but Michael is here for him.
Michael has cut the phone lines, so they go to leave, and LL Cool J is standing at the door, and they open the door to him, and Laurie is pointing a gun at him.
Yes.
He's like, what the fuck? And so basically she and he are speaking, and it's very quickly, I need to go find my kid. Like, I need to find out what's going on. And so then everyone kind of bumps into each other nebulously here in the next like 5 minutes of movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Charlie, basically the kids are doing their little date thing. They've raided the kitchen for food for the evening, but Charlie goes back up he rides the dumbwaiter upstairs to get more alcohol, or to get a corkscrew to open the alcohol, I believe. And so whenever he gets up there, there's this whole bit where he drops the corkscrew down into the garbage disposal, and, you know, they play around with the idea of like, oh, is he going to get his hand caught in there? Like, whatever. And then he turns around and Michael is there. And the dumbwaiter then returns back down to the lower floor, and his girlfriend, Sarah, opens it up, finding him with his throat slashed. And then in superhuman speed, Michael is now downstairs walking around outside, because like his shadow goes across the window, and he's after her as well. He ends up stabbing her as she also jumps in the dumbwaiter.
He like, it's like his hand gets in just before it closes, and he gets her in the leg. Indiana Jones style, baby.
And so she rides the dumbwaiter up, and then she, as she's kind of like trying to struggle to get out of there, he cuts the cable, and so it like slams down onto her leg. I assume, I mean, maybe breaking it.
I would imagine,
because she then like has to crawl across the floor.
Also, that is a sharp fucking kitchen knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Michael comes back upstairs, and he like puts his like boot on her throat, and then just like stabs her several times to death. And then John and Molly come in, and they see the trail of blood leading from the dumbwaiter, and they find Sarah's body like strung up in like the pantry. And they see Michael, and it's like this moment of like, oh shit, this is real on John's face. And Molly seems to have no idea who that is.
Well, and the thing is it's the, oh shit, this is real moment. And for me, it's like, yeah, asshole. Like, because it's almost like the movie kind of makes it seem like he doesn't believe that this was ever a thing. Or like, it's such a small nominal, like, who fucking cares?
Right.
And then for him to see him and freak the fuck out, it's like, yeah, this has ruined your mother's life, you shithead. Maybe that's why I don't like the characters, because he's kind of written to be like an entitled, just a youth-filled dickhead. But like, yeah, no, it's good that he wakes up here.
I think that's why I don't have as much a problem with him, is that I think he's written very like realistic in that way.
Sure.
Of like, he didn't witness those things that Laurie did, and so he's just been told. And so, I mean, I'm sure there's things that your parents have told you, or my parents have told me.
Thumb drag.
It's, well, I don't mean that. I mean of like actual things that happened.
No, that's real.
That happened?
That's a real thing that happened to my family.
That's a real thing on this earth?
Yeah.
But that you didn't believe necessarily. And, they swear that it happened, and it's just like, I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I don't think a guy comes back from the dead 3 days later. Like, that seems weird.
Yeah.
That probably didn't happen.
Yeah, he's not strong enough to move that rock.
He doesn't know any bunnies.
No. But they end up like running out of the building and they get away from him, and then Michael is just like on them again outside.
Yeah.
No time at all.
No.
And he stabs John in the leg, and she hits Michael with like a big rock. And then they run away, and they get to like the gate leading into the dorm.
Yeah, it's like a security gate. I thought it was the kitchen, but regardless, it is a dormitory, because they're up in the rooms later on. But yeah, it's like a gate that exists outside of the walls, but within like a 4-foot space.
Yeah, it's literally just to close off this door.
Yeah.
And you do see it earlier in a scene, because on my rewatch, I clocked it.
But this is a bizarre moment, because they drop the keys.
Yeah.
And Michael hasn't noticed that the keys have been dropped, but they managed to close the gate and lock it. But they can't get into the door, so they are stuck in between the space of the locked door and the locked gate, with Michael outside of the gate. And it's like you see those videos of the people in those like glass enclosures to look at the shark under the water. That's very similar to that. He's like his like whole body is smashed into the gate, and he's reaching as far as he can with his fucking knife just to kill them.
Yeah.
He has no real idea of who these people are. He just wants to fucking kill them.
But then earlier, like whenever he came onto campus, he walks right past Ronnie and doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
There are a couple times of that. Like he doesn't attack people. He doesn't kill people. He doesn't kill the little girl and her mother whenever he just takes their old car.
He flips the kid off though.
Oh.
And she's like, Mommy, the white-faced man flipped me off.
I don't remember that.
She's like, white face. Your privilege is showing. Or something. I don't know.
But I just mean like there's times where like he doesn't.
Yeah.
But these two people who he does not know, and Charlie and Sarah, who he has already murdered, he does not know. But I guess like we're going back to the idea of their teens. Yeah, they're fooling around and doing teen things.
I always figured the sex had something to do with it because of what, you know, the thing that kind of sends him over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, I get that. It's a very sex and death seem to be for people of that murderous, you know, sort of mental illness category seem very related.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me.
Eventually, he does pick up the keys and he is trying to figure out which one goes in the lock. And then Laurie and Will open up the door. They slam it behind them, and Michael makes his, you know, steps to the door, and there's this circular window in
Like
it.
a porthole, yeah.
And Laurie and Michael come face to face for the first time in 20 years.
Let me tell you, that scene goes hard.
Uh-huh.
That is awesome. It's a really good facial journey from her. Typically, I don't like, and it's something that I don't like about the mask in this movie. I usually do not like when you can see Michael's eyes through the mask. I think that cheapens it. I think that it makes it look bizarre.
Yeah.
But in this one moment, his eyes, like the stunt performer, his eyes are just burning, and they look so like, he looks like you just caught the biggest fish that you could possibly catch. He seems like excited, like let's get this done, like ready to go, just through his eyes.
Yeah.
And she nails it. She's just fucking terrified. But she also does the thing that Loomis does in this movie.
Uh-huh.
She's taking the Loomis role. She pulls that fucking gun out so fast that it breaks the sound barrier.
That's why it sounds like there was a seventh shot.
Yeah.
And then he disappears in true Michael fashion. And they make it up into the upstairs like hallways, and she locks the kids in one of the closet rooms or whatever. And
they do some cool stuff with her, like trying to outsmart him. Like she covers her hand in blood and like drips a bunch of blood onto a doorknob and puts a handprint on the doorknob so that she can run into a different room so that Michael will see the bloody handprint on the door and open that door. And it kind of works, but it's like cat and mouse, but it's more like cat and cat. They are both taking turns outsmarting the other one and figuring out around the tricks that the other is pulling. I like this sequence a lot.
Yeah.
It's long, but I like it.
Yeah, it is an extended chase scene through these halls. She and Will are there, and he sees somebody coming up the hallway, and it's just a shadow on the wall.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely like, it is a Michael, you know, it is Michael.
Yeah.
Whenever we see him.
Yeah.
And he wrestles the gun away from Laurie and fires several times into this person.
Yeah.
Who is then revealed to be
LL Cool J.
Yeah. Who just happened to be, you know, scoping out this mansion to shoot his next music video.
Yeah.
And
with Eminem.
And so he's Ronnie is now out of the picture.
Yeah.
And then immediately after that, Will is then stabbed by Michael in the back, very much like the nurse in Halloween 2, where he like stabs him in the back and like lifts him up off the ground.
Two things that are different here that make it better.
Uh-huh.
The first thing, it's not a scalpel, it's a big fucking knife, because the scalpel is weird.
Yeah.
The other thing is like they took the effort to show the knife tip like protrude through his clothing, like the front of his clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you can see that the knife is like almost starting to cut through the front of his shirt because of the amount of force. But yeah, Michael lifts him from that cut. And then I pointed this out to you because I think this is really funny.
Uh-huh.
The last thing Will sees, because fucking Laurie does nothing to help.
No.
Nothing. She doesn't try to attack Michael. She doesn't try to get him down. She doesn't do anything. She sees what's happening, screams, turns, and runs the fuck away. So the last thing that Will sees is, as he's being lifted by the stab wound, is his now longtime girlfriend going, ah, and running away, and him going, please don't leave me. You can leave me to die. I don't want to die for you.
He should have believed her. Should have believed her a lot earlier.
Yeah, but he does die.
He does. This is, she plays this little, trick on him. He opens the wrong closet door and she hits him with a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
She grabs the kids. They run out to the car. They drive to the gate. There's a bit of that moment of they first get in the car and she can't get it to start. and Michael like makes it all the way to the door and is like beating on the window as she finally like it cranks and she drives off. But they make it to the gate of the school. She tells the kids to leave. And much like Loomis at the end of Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, she says, "You all leave because I have unfinished business."
Michael, what have they done to you?
And then she lays down in a circle of runes. No, she says, go to the Becker's house.
Yeah.
Which is a callback to go to the Mackenzie's house, which is what she says to the kids in Halloween. But a play on that because Casey Becker's parents say that in the beginning scene of Scream. And so it's a reference in a reference in a reference.
Yeah.
To itself.
And they go to those Becker's house and they get chopped up by Ghostface.
Yeah. We almost don't see them again for the rest of this movie.
No, they're in the very end.
Yeah.
She goes back.
Yeah, Laurie is now alone. She breaks the
handle for the gate control. So
Yeah.
he can't leave either. Ding, ding, motherfucker.
and she like screams out across the whole campus, calling out for Michael.
What if she screams Michael and then he was like next to her and he's like, "What?" And she's like, "You can talk?" And he's like, "Yeah." No one in the movies that we take seriously, no one's tried to talk to me. I'm very lonely. Do you have any idea how much talk radio I've listened to in the last 5 days?
That's what he listened to all on his very long drive.
Bubba the Love Sponge.
Oh God.
Yeah, Michael, like Bubba the Love Sponge, is horribly racist.
She makes it back up into the upper hallways again, and this is where we get that amazing, lowering down into frame of Michael.
It's sexier than hell.
Yeah. What was he doing up there? How long do you think he was just hanging out?
Fucking pounding, dude. He's attic Jack.
Nobody is gonna get that.
Oh, come on, man.
That's amazing.
Maybe.
I love that. But yeah, he lowers himself down behind her, and she has a fire axe.
Yeah.
That she like stabs into his chest.
Mm-hmm.
And then he slashes her across the like upper arm like he does in the original.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets away.
Which again, a reference that I didn't feel was unearned, and it was like, oh, okay.
No, it's like a blink and you miss it, or if you get it, you get it sort of thing. It doesn't draw attention to itself.
No, not at all.
Even I think some of the reused lines. There's a scene earlier where we didn't even mention where Norma leaves and she bumps into Laurie and she's like, "Oh, it's Halloween. Everybody deserves one good scare." And that's like the furthest it gets of kind of like, okay, yeah. But Laurie even has that look on her face of just like, this is eerie. I've heard this before. And it seems to be like kind of one of those like foreshadowing moments for her in this.
Yeah, if this were Halloween 6, Norma would have said, "Everyone deserves one good scare." And Laurie would have been like, "Oh, okay." And would have turned around and then for no reason wouldn't have noticed Norma get stabbed to death right behind her.
Yeah. She goes down into the
it's like the dining hall.
Yeah.
She plays this cat and mouse game with him with the tables. Like she gets under them, he's on top of them.
I think it's odd the way that he stands on the tables. Do you like it or do you not?
I think it's odd visually, but I like the idea of it. I like the idea that she's hiding under the table, so he makes it look like he's left, but he hasn't left, but she knows he hasn't left. And it's chess. It's well, who has outguessed the other one's play here?
Because I like what she does to try and get away. Like she kicks the chair, like to slide into the other chair and kind of like hopefully draw his attention that way.
And like he even turns his head, but then he's not actually distracted.
Nope.
And it's just like, yeah, it's really good to show that she has been thinking a lot about how she would get away, and he is not fooled.
Right.
He is a shark. He doesn't give a shit. And they do that really well in this.
He eventually gets down from them and he flips over all the tables, much like Jesus did that tax office.
Those poor actuaries.
And eventually she gets up and grabs like a flag and stabs him with the staff of this flag. But then in true Laurie fashion, like it snaps and it becomes like, okay, well, you could still use that as a weapon.
It's 2 weapons now, Laurie. It's a bat and a spear.
And she just like kind of flimsily throws it at him and then runs away. She goes upstairs into the kitchen, throws a bunch of knives at him. I also think this is a weird thing, and I get why it had to happen this way in the movie, but she pulls the entire drawer of knives out and onto the floor. So the knives are just loose on the floor now.
Yeah.
Instead of just opening it and then throwing the knives from the drawer.
It's like, Laurie, knives are like his favorite thing.
Yeah.
And you've put like, he's the knife wielder.
That's
you
true.
know? And he's got like 40 now. There's also this weird moment in this. I'm going to take 2 seconds to say this. She throws one of the knives. It sticks into a cabinet door and it's like reaction shots. It pans over and it's like the boom. But nothing comes of that.
Nothing comes of it. And it's the only one. She throws probably 5-6 knives and
she
it
misses.
is the only one that it does that for. It is a bizarre little shot.
Like I thought certainly he would pick it up.
Yep.
Or like somebody would get slammed into it or something, but nothing happens with it.
Yeah. I mean, unless... Because then he makes it across the room to her. He stabs at her and she lifts the drawer, which is the reason she had to pull it out in the first place. And it gets lodged in there. And then she runs past him. Maybe she pulls it out of the wall then?
Maybe? You think you would pay more attention to that?
Yeah.
From a cinematography standpoint, you think you would pay more attention to that. If you're going to do the reaction shot, you think you'd pay it off.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Maybe
I've just missed that payoff there.
Yeah.
But she then goes and hides, and whenever he makes it back out into that main upper hallway, she comes out and stabs him several times in the chest and pushes him over the balcony to where he crashes down on one of the tables below. And she goes down to that floor and she pulls the knife out of his chest.
Yeah. And she's about to go fucking buck wild. But then Ronnie's alive. He's fine.
Yeah.
LL Cool J is cool as shit.
Now, do you think, like, was he wearing a bulletproof vest?
No.
Or do you think he just can take several bullets?
I think he just took so many rounds. His good love of his woman's melon breasts have spurred him to stay alive yet another day. But he takes a knife from her and it's like, God damn it.
Yeah.
But he takes a knife and he's like, he's dead, man. He's dead. And we're all screaming, no, he's not.
Yeah.
Stop it. Larry, cool Jim. Knock it off.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
I don't know.
Certainly not lame cockjack. I don't know.
Our finale then is the coroners are like loading. They zip Michael up in a body bag,
Which the camera notices her notice that all the kids are back and Ronnie's sitting outside with them, and she's like, no, fuck this, no. And in a move I really admire, she walks up, she pulls the gun right out of a cop's fucking holster, points it at him, and is like, everyone back the fuck up. And then takes the coroner's van and just steals it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's awesome.
But I don't know what her plan is, though, because then she's driving the entire way, looking in the rear view to make sure that he's not getting up, which he does.
Yeah. And it's like, that is the moment that you think that they would do the sit up and turn, but it's not. But yeah, he gets out of the bag, and then she slams on brakes and he flies out of the windshield.
Right.
And tumbles onto the ground.
And then very much like Halloween 4, she runs him down.
Yes. And then drives off the mountain road.
Right.
And tumbles the van down. She is thrown clear.
And lives fine because she's drunk.
Yes.
Yeah. Gary Busey used to say that if you drink until blackout drunk and get behind the wheel of a car, you won't die in a crash because you don't brace.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, van rolls down. Michael is then
pinned. It's like between a log and the front of the van.
And she comes down to him and she calls his name, and he does that. He acts almost confused in this moment.
Yeah.
And this is like, again, I'm not going to go too much into what this is actually happening until we get to next week.
Yeah.
But there's a reason for that. But he looks confused. And I guess they're trying to play it off of as that in Halloween 2, whenever she used his name, he was confused and did the head tilt and the whole thing. But he reaches out his hand to her, and she reaches out to him as well. And they kind of have this moment. And apparently originally they were going to have him speak like one line or maybe say one word, like her name in that moment. And it was going to kind of give her a moment of like, oh, well, maybe he is a person in there. But they obviously didn't use that.
I'm happy they didn't.
And instead she uses the fire axe that she's been carrying around to
chop his fucking head off.
Yeah.
It goes flying. It's a decent prop head.
Yeah, tumbles.
You don't have to do too much.
Perfect little roll right into the camera.
Staring at it, yeah.
And then the camera kind of pushes in on her and cut to credits.
To Mr. Sandman.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is a in loving memory of Donald Pleasance in the credits.
Which is nice.
They spell his name wrong. His last name is spelled wrong. And it's like, guys, what the hell?
Oh my God. That poor man. Everything about this movie is tight.
Yeah.
Like,
It's the shortest movie in the franchise.
it feels that way.
It is like 89 minutes long.
Yeah. It's not a lot of fat. We've said it before about this, and we tend to like, I think we usually like these things where it's like, yeah, you don't have to muddy it. It doesn't have to have a thorn curse or runes or fucking Men in Black and bullshit. Like, just, yeah, Michael figured out that she's alive still. He went to kill Loomis, found her instead. And there he goes. You didn't have to overcomplicate it. All the performances are fine. I don't like some of the dialogue, but that's a very me thing. I don't hold the movie accountable for that. I think it's just about the time that it was. And I was very young during that time, and I didn't really like the way people talked then either. But it's, I definitely recommend this one.
Yes.
I am one of those that's like, watch Halloween 2, watch H20, then watch H40, and then you're basically good.
Yeah.
Like, those are the 4 that I recommend.
And Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
But I don't even...
It's the best one.
Well, yeah, it is. But
Tom Atkins.
that's why I don't recommend it to people. They'll just goon for the next fucking 6 months.
When you're right, you're right.
But yeah, I like this movie quite a bit. And it didn't disappoint me here. I remember liking it very much. I remember being like, oh, that's the best one.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel that here. I felt it was very good, but it's like, I think that in our conversations about all this stuff, I've realized that it's like, no matter how good the sequel is, it's the sequel to a perfect movie. Yep. So it'll always be a little bit more dim than its predecessor.
Yeah, no, I agree with that sentiment. I think I love what this movie is doing. The fact that Jamie Lee Curtis was willing to come back and re-explore this character, and that the way that she went about doing it, that, Laurie is dealing with this trauma and that she's an alcoholic, and that's very realistic and things like that. But I think they played it too safe. I don't think that this one pushes any sort of envelope, any sort of, line in any way.
Yeah.
Whereas I think similar things that are then investigated even further in Halloween 2018, like, they do take it all out.
Sure.
So I do recommend this movie. Much like you just said, yeah, Halloween 2, H20, and H40 are the best. Now, if you're, with the timelines, I think this is a nice little kind of what we said about Halloween 4, where it's like, if the timeline was Halloween 1, 2, and 4, fine. Does a nice little trilogy there.
Yeah.
This one is a better trilogy.
I think so.
And unfortunately what it's followed up with is just awful. But we will see how our rewatches go with that. But yeah, I pleasantly was, I wasn't let down by these rewatches. And in the second one this week, that opening sequence, I was like, I love this so much. This like tight little scene. Yeah. I love how Halloween-y it is in both the holiday and the season, and also the original movie and kind of what it's doing. I like how screamy it is as well. Yeah. Because it definitely is. And I don't know. I'm definitely recommend this movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, folks, we asked a couple questions. Feel free to reach out to us, but definitely tune in next week for when we talk about a horrible, horrible film that we both hate very much, and it's probably the worst one we'll ever talk about.
Thanks for tuning into the Third Channel podcast. Please, if you have the time, rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast apps.
You can follow us on social media at Third Channel Podcast, and you can find me online at ThatDRosenberg.
You can also reach out to us at thirdchannelpodcast@gmail.com, where we check every message, we swear. Third Channel is hosted by PJ Minette
and Derek Rosenberg. Theme song and audio engineering by Fly Guy Ty.
The logo design by Bell DeVelco.
Episode artwork by Nathan Walkington.
Keep it tuned right here to the Third Channel for all things horror. And remember, don't touch that dial.
Egg salad and eggs.